if we want them to care about it, we have to care about it. And we show them that we care about it by actually looking at the work they've done. And if we aren't looking at the work they're doing, we're telling them it doesn't really matter.
Hey everyone, this is Yvette Hampton. Welcome back to the Schoolhouse Rocks podcast. I'm back today with Mystie Winkler, and we're talking about homeschool encouragement. We are just here to encourage you. If you listened to Monday, you heard me say we're just taking a break this week from the family series because I wanted to just talk about just homeschooling, which is kind of funny because we're talking about family as well. I mean, just it's what we do. We're homeschoolers. And so it all is tied together. Parenting and marriage and sibling relationships, all those things are all part of homeschooling. You know, we're not sending our kids off to someone else for someone else to show them what a marriage looks like, what a godly, loving marriage looks like. We're not sending them off to someone else to have someone else teach them how to get along with their brothers and sisters or how to keep home or how to do any of that stuff. That's all part of what we do as homeschool parents. It's not just about the academics. I mean, the academics are part of it and those are important, but it's so much more than that. It's life, and it's learning how to live the life that God has created us to live and to love him well in the process of it, and to teach our kids how to love him well. So I am so glad that we are back to talk about these things with Mystie. But before we get back into our conversation, I want to say thank you again to our sponsor, BJU Press Homeschool. No parent should homeschool alone. You have a God-given calling to bring up your child to love God and to steward his creation. And BJU Press exists to help you be successful in that endeavor. Visit their website at bjupresshomeschool.com or call 1-800-845-5731 to connect with an experienced homeschool consultant. Well, Mystie, welcome back. I am glad that you're back with us today. Yeah, this has been just a fun conversation. And I hope that this is really just bringing some encouragement to homeschool moms who are listening to this. I know it is for me. And it's all things that we just need to be reminded of all the time. We've talked about, you have a free download on your website. We will put a link to that in the show notes. It's called 3 Steps to a Convivial Homeschool Day. And this is an accompanying guide to the Convivial Homeschool book that you wrote.
Yes.
And the book is fantastic. I've had a chance to look through it, and I do love that it's got short chapters because it makes it so much easier for homeschool moms to digest just a little bit at a time. And it's fantastic. Yes. But you've got these 3 steps to a convivial homeschool day. So we've talked about steps 1 and 2. What is step 3?
Step 3 is just to have a standard place where kids put their work when it's done. There's so much stuff when you're homeschooling, and having the books, the papers, the pencils that are actually sharpened and not broken. Like, don't get me started on pencils. But it's managing the stuff is one of the things that's so frustrating about homeschooling, about managing lots of people all day long who are supposed to be doing things. And so if we're going to put eyes on our kids' work, which is one thing that I kind of talk about throughout, or in a few different places in the Convivial Homeschool, I talk about, we ask our students, our children, to care about their work and to do it. If we give them an assignment, we want them to complete it all the way.
Yeah.
But a part of caring about the work, or if we want them to care about it, we have to care about it. And we show them that we care about it by actually looking at the work they've done. And if we aren't looking at the work they're doing, we're telling them it doesn't really matter. And so then we shouldn't be surprised when they end up not actually doing it. It was like, let me tell you how I know. As a homeschool student with homeschool siblings and 5 homeschool kids, like every single student, I know I have a lot of stories.
Yeah, I bet you do. You have a lot of experience when it comes to homeschooling. I love that. And your husband too.
Yes. So it's not like this is something where, as soon as I know, okay, I'm going to check everyone's work. That then it happens, because it's actually super hard.
Yeah.
And it takes a lot of that kind of management skill
Hmm.
And so one way that we have streamlined that in our home, and this was especially important when my husband took over grading the math and giving math help, which happened when my oldest hit algebra and I explained a concept to him incorrectly.
Oh no.
I got fired from math, which was not a problem
Oh,
for
I
me.
fired myself long ago from math, so I'm with you.
But, just that, like, well, did you do the work? Well, where is it? Your math isn't done until it's in this, file. It's just one of the countertop, like, inbox type things.
Yeah.
It's super basic, but it's like, if your work is done, I don't know it's done unless it's in there. And if
Right.
I'm going to check your work, that's where I'm going to look. And so it's just a way, it promotes that, like, being on the same team where we aren't always like having to ask and having to
Right.
dig through and those are the kind of situations that just make us frustrated, and they don't need to. It's like, we can just have a place and it's your job to put it there and it's my job to look at it. And so we both have a piece of the responsibility when it comes to making sure the work is done.
Yeah. Yeah. So when you are correcting your kids' work and you're looking at their work, I know that a lot of moms, because we want to encourage our kids and we want to, we don't want to deflate them. We want to, help them to know, okay, you're doing a great job. How do you handle it when your children do, maybe they turn in a math worksheet and, 50% of the answers are wrong.
Yeah.
How do you handle that with your kids? How do you still encourage them? And at the same time, like, oh, okay, but you're not quite getting this. Let's start this over.
Yeah. I think this is another area where it's, I have the advantage of being a second generation homeschool mom where my parents didn't do grades. I didn't get grades till I was at college. And so to me, the kind of grade, like, you turn in your work and you're totally evaluated on exactly what you turn in the first time.
Yeah.
It seems very artificial to me and not, actually, we want to help our children grow and improve. So that means doing some work, getting some feedback, and improving it. So that's pretty much the process that we do for everything. I don't give grades at all for anything. And when they turn in their math, I correct it. They ask for help if they need it, or maybe it's just like, well, maybe if you showed your work and didn't try to do it in your head, you would have gotten it right. But it's like, it's not a big deal to get it wrong. It's just whatever you get wrong, you have to fix, and you're not done with it till it's corrected. But it's not a big deal to get it wrong. And it's the same thing. I was an English major, so writing is important to me, but I always make it very clear, no first draft is your final draft.
Yeah, right.
You write something, then you get feedback, then you make it better. So that's just pretty much the process we follow with everything. That we're discipling, we're bringing our children along. Sure. We aren't like giving them judgments about how they're doing so far.
It is, I think, one of the greatest privileges and advantages of homeschooling our kids is, especially when it comes to subjects like math and even writing, is that until they get that concept, you don't blaze through and move on to the next thing.
Right.
You just pause there with
This is
them.
where you need to work. So this is where we'll
until
work.
you understand it. Whereas in a classroom, the teacher can't do that. They're not able to pause and stop for your child of all of their students and say, oh, let's focus on this concept for the next week if necessary, or the next month if necessary, until you really grasp it. They just have to move on and your kid gets left in the dust. And so I love that about homeschooling. It is such a great advantage that we have of being able to just go at the pace that our kids are going with whatever subject it is that they're studying, And math for me, oh, good God, I'm so thankful for CTC math because they do all of it for me. I mean, and so I go back and I'm able to check, work and grades and all of that. But, I'm not the math person. And so I'm thankful for even having resources like that. but that I can still check
Yeah.
and just see where they're at. So yeah, it's good stuff. Let's take a break. We'll be right back. We want to thank all of our sponsors for making this show possible: BJU Press Homeschool, CTC Math, Apologia, and IEW. Without them, we wouldn't be able to do this. Visit the show notes for links to these great companies and thank them for supporting the Schoolhouse Rocked podcast. We are back with Mystie. This has been a great conversation, and I love talking about all these things. It's just one of those things. I just need this encouragement constantly. I need to be reminded of all the things on a consistent basis. I'm like, why do I always need to be reminded of these things when we talk about it all the time? But I think that's just, as humans, we tend to sometimes think about the negative when we think about the struggles, and we just need to come back to reality. And we need grace. And that's one of the things in your book. You talk about grace in our homeschooling. Your book is The Convivial Homeschool. Talk to us about grace. What does that look like as a convivial homeschooler?
Yeah, one of the things that I've noticed over the years, looking for encouragement, trying to find encouragement, and a lot of the phrases that are tossed around the internet that are supposed to be encouraging. It's like, you just need to give yourself grace. And it's like, well, what does that mean? What does that look like? I don't know. What we really need is God's grace. So we need to go get God's grace. We need to be reading his word and praying about our day and having faith in the situation and trust that he's working good in it. And that's how we receive God's grace. We don't really give it to ourselves, but we do go get it from Christ. And his grace is sufficient for us. Mm-hmm. And Christ's grace isn't an excuse. It actually just, it makes it good. It doesn't say, well, that's fine, you did the best you could, oh well. It's like,
right.
It's forgiveness. It's covering. It's replacing our weakness with his strength, and he makes things right. So that, like I said before, I have 2 graduates, and they're amazing. But I could say that because I look at them and it's like, I didn't do that.
Yeah.
The grace is that God is working with what we're doing, and he's not giving us grades. He's saying, here's Christ. That's what we get.
Yeah.
And so when our kids are graduated, or like you were sharing the other day about your daughter's test scores, it's like, oh, that it wasn't actually because I did something right. That was because God's working in them and doing something that's so much bigger and so much more than what I'm doing. It's not about me, although I am in charge of I'm taking responsibility for my own failings and weaknesses and getting the forgiveness and the grace to cover that, to keep moving forward in gratitude. And so that's what gratitude characterizes our attitude and our approach when we are covered in Christ's righteousness. And gratitude is how we have joy in the moment, because we know that it's Jesus' work that matters, and we're just following his calling. So, we just well up with gratitude. And if we need a pep talk, that gratitude angle is where we need to go to get the pep talk. That's the kind of pep talk we need, is to be pointed back to Jesus and say, okay, wow, I'll do what he wants, because this is amazing. He's amazing.
Yeah, he absolutely is. And gratitude is so important, as we think of ourselves as parents. God is our heavenly Father, and we should always be showing gratitude to him. Just like, and I don't say this in a prideful way, but, we want our children to show gratitude to us. When we're taking good care of them, when we're doing our very best and being intentional as parents, it's hurtful when our kids don't ever recognize, or, if anything, they shun us and they're like, whatever, they're just resentful towards us. And when they come to us with gratitude, it just is like, wow, that's incredible. Thank you, for recognizing, the sacrifice that we've made for you and whatever that is. And so it's the same, even way more so, with the Lord, who has just given us so much. He has shown so much grace. He has shown so much mercy to us in our lives and given us what we don't deserve. And so we should only have a heart of gratitude towards him. And our children should see us doing that so that they also can have only a heart of gratitude towards the Lord and towards the things that he's doing in their lives. So, oh my, well, thank you, Mystie. It's been so fun chatting with you this week. Your book is fantastic. And you guys, again, we'll put links to her book. It's called The Convivial Homeschool. Tell me again the whole title, because that is quite a mouthful.
It is. Gospel encouragement for keeping your sanity while living and learning alongside your kids.
I love it. That is a fun title. But for short, we'll call it The Convivial Homeschool. And again, convivial means friendly, lively, enjoyable. So let's go do that with our kids. Let's have a friendly learning environment. Let's have a joyful and lively learning environment. That doesn't mean that you have to come dancing down the stairs to music every day. But if you're like Mystie, you do that. And that's awesome. I love that you do that. I might try to do that with my kids. And they're going to be like, what in the world are you doing?
Sometimes it's good to throw them off.
Yeah, right. No, I think that's such a great way to just start out the day. I love that so much. Though if I play Shane and Shane one more time, they might actually like throw the remote out the window. And it's my favorite. I love listening to their hymns and psalms. So I don't know that they would come dancing out to Shane and Shane. So I might have to find something more upbeat than that. And I'll have to maybe try Andrew Peterson. But thank you for being with us, Mystie, and just for the heart and soul that you have poured into this book to bring encouragement to homeschool families. Again, the book is called The Convivial Homeschool. We'll link to that in the show notes. And again, if you guys have not yet signed up, you heard me on Monday, you heard me yesterday. If you've not yet signed up for our online conference, it's live, it's interactive, it's March 6th through the 9th. It's 4 days. It's Monday, Wednesday, Tuesday, Thursday of just fun encouragement. We're going to do some fun things with this one while we're live with a couple of our guests. So you're going to want to join us for that as well. I don't even know if I'm going to tell my guests some of these fun things that I'm planning to do with them. We might just throw this in there and catch them off guard because it might be more fun that way. But please join us for this conference. It's March 6th through 9th, the Homegrown Generation Family Expo. You can find out more about it and see our speaker lineup, our incredible speaker lineup at homegrowngeneration.com and sign up there. You get lifetime access to the entire conference. And if you were not part of the 2020 conference that we did 3 years ago, it was incredible. I mean, we had so many incredible guests for that one. Some of them are coming back for this one, but if you were not part of that, when you sign up for this year's conference, you get access to that entire conference from 2020 as well. And that one included Kirk Cameron, Heidi St. John, Dorinda Wilson, Ginger Hubbard, Rachel Carmen. I mean, just an incredible speaker lineup. So you'll have access to that entire conference as well. So go sign up, homegrowngeneration.com, and we will see you there. Share it with your friends. Have a great rest of your week, and we'll see you guys back here next week. Bye.